Hugh, welcome to World Energy Television. So what brought you to Buccaneer?
I was attracted to Buccaneer because it's a small startup company and I was looking for one. And also this company has an emphasis on its relationships with service companies. And in the last few years, especially for small startup companies, the access to service has been a real problem. And I think Buccaneer recognized that and has built these relationships with a number of different service companies so that you can get access to drilling rigs and workover rigs.
What is it that attracted you to this business?
Well, after graduating from graduate school, I had an internship at the East-West Center in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I was working on an energy project in the South Pacific. At the time, alternative energies were more economic in the South Pacific than anywhere in the world. But what it told me is that it all depended on one thing, and that was what the price of oil was. So if I wanted to be in the energy industry, which I did, I needed to learn the oil industry. So in 1984, I came down to learn the oil industry in Houston, Texas. I was able to get in with a small company, which was Blackstone Oil, and learned the industry from the ground up. So even though I was in the financial side of the business, and it was a small company, I was able to go on frac runs and logging runs. You don't want me picking perfs, but it does show that I know the industry from the ground up and I understand what's going out on the field and how that impacts onto the financial side of the business.
When was it when you first had the CFO position for an oil company?
Well, at Blackstone, I basically came through, like they said, the controllership side of the business, but eventually made it to become the CFO of Blackstone, and then Blackstone Minerals, the predecessor companies.
From a financial standpoint, how has the industry changed in the past few years?
Well, I think one of the biggest areas of change, especially for the smaller companies and the startups, is the access to capital for exploration money. For years, you could go and get money for development drilling, but certainly for exploration drilling was much more difficult to get.
Why was that such a problem?
Well, for years in a lower price environment, exploration deals were much tougher to find capital for it because the economics, when you did hit them, it was a little thinner. And today, with the higher oil prices, you can justify a lot more different basins to explore for. And frankly, the other problem is that producing properties, the values of those have gone up so strongly that in order to buy them at a decent price and then conduct some development drilling on them has become prohibitive. So exploration deals are much more economically feasible than they were years ago.
What would be some of the bigger challenges? Finding domestic oil or dealing with the political interest of countries that are less friendly towards the U.S.?
Well, obviously we have some political problems around the world, and I think that the United States would like to see its domestic reserves developed to its potential. I think the United States has to recognize we're going to have to do both in order to satisfy our energy needs in this country. But certainly the access to the resources in this country will become and have become more and more important as the political situation in the world has at times deteriorated.
Joining us today is Neville Henry, Chief Exploration Officer of Buccaneer Resources, in charge with finding the industrial oxygen that makes our economy run. You've been everywhere. How did that experience help you in your career?
Well, there's a variety of them, I guess, and clearly the start with Unocal was very important because it grounded me in field work, in rig work, in the operational background that's given me a strength. Being on the rig floor and listening to the rig hands and watching what really happens, being out sitting on a field crew and seismic and understanding how they've got to go, the struggles they've got to do to get the seismic and the quality, lets me understand the issues of what we're trying to do today in getting good quality data into our companies.
Now, in this career, you've found a lot of oil and gas. What are some factors that have attributed to your success?
my job really is a bit like a movie guy. I got to kind of put these pieces together and make a story, and make the story have some reality. And what I like to do is create that storyboard with geological information. And usually when that geological information is put together, you find, just like when you would do it in a movie, if suddenly you saw a scene over here and a scene, from a different movie, and they're put together, somebody's going to say, what happened? Well, pretty much in our story, in Finding Oil and Gas, is those things have all got to fit together, and they've got to make a story. And if you put it together in a full storyboard, you'll soon find the mistakes and the breaks in that story, and you have to figure out, is it a real story, or is it the chance of finding oil and gas?
What makes the Gulf of Mexico so unique?
Well, the Gulf of Mexico is an amazing place. Clearly it has a history of oil finding that is fantastic. Get the address right? Well, go to a place where there's a lot of oil and gas. It's not a bad place to start. Also, obviously, the United States has an ability to commercialize a lot of things you can't commercialize overseas. So coming in with an international mindset, I look at the opportunities I see in the Gulf of Mexico and Gulf Coast and even other areas of the United States, and I see opportunity everywhere.
Now, what is it that attracted you to the Buccaneer business model?
It seemed to me that here was an opportunity to bring in a variety of folks together in a way that was different. It could bring in the service company side, the operational side, plus a team of very dedicated guys, and find a way to, I guess, speed up the process, which seemed to work in the example of High Island, and also in a way that everybody's rewarded. And I think you'll find that the type of model that Buccaneer has, it rewards not just the Buccaneer in one sense, it also rewards the preferred supplier and other groups that are associated with the company.
Neville, thank you for sharing all of this with us today. We've been speaking with Neville Henry, Chief Exploration Officer for Buccaneer Resources. Up next, Ken Hooper, Chief Operating Officer of Buccaneer Resources. Stay with us. We'll be right back.